Opening night here from the Food City Center, Thompson-Boling Arena. He's Grant Ramey. I'm Rob Lewis. Tennessee with kind of a ho-hum 80-64 win. Looked like it was headed for a blowout, midway to late in the second half, and Tennessee kind of lost the thread a little bit. But overall, I mean, just kind of probably what you would have expected. I thought Gardner-Webb maybe was a little better.
Yeah, they were. Tennessee kind of started slow, kind of finished slow, was pretty good in between. But to me, they still feel like a team that, and maybe this is kind of the new normal, where you're trying to figure out what you've got and how to play together. I mean, this group's been together through the spring and the summer and the fall, but once you get on the court and it's game day, it's a little bit different when you're not playing against the scout team. So it feels like they're still trying to kind of feel each other out and kind of figure out how to mesh. But I mean, Chaz Lanier, a lot better than what we saw against Indiana. Jordan Gainey has looked much improved so far. Zakai Zeeler kind of doing what he does. He needs to get better on the defensive end. I think that was a pretty good guard he faced from Gardner-Webb, and it showed. I think he had 22, whatever that kid's name was.
Daryl Simmons.
So it's kind of a mixed bag, but, opening night, kind of you take it for what it is.
Yeah, and, you kind of stole a little bit of my thunder there talking about the new normal in college basketball. I mean, I think, Tennessee, they're not new to the transfer game, obviously, and, had one of the most prolific transfers in the brief history of the portal, but they've never had the majority of their starters be transfers, which is what they are now. They've only, they have some veterans back from an Elite Eight, but only 3 of those guys, were neck deep in that stuff. Jordan Gainey, Zakai, and Jahmai. So, I mean, I think that I think that's a great phrase, Grant. The new normal with the proliferation of the transfer portal. I think this non-conference, I think you're going to see more. Kind of, I guess what stood out to me the most tonight, Tennessee wasn't bad on defense, but that's that kind of team. Those teams struggle to score 25 and a half against Tennessee. And they shot 44% tonight and, had some success. Again, not awful. I think you're right. I think you're going to see a lot of that with all the transfers.
Yeah, like the Indiana game last week. The shots Indiana made in the second half, they shot so well, they scored it so well in the second. That's probably not going to happen against a team you would expect in February or March based on Tennessee's past under Rick Barnes, the way they play defense. I think, Igor Milicic, I think he's going to be a lot better a month from now, 6 weeks from now, whatever. I think he's still kind of trying to feel it out and figure it out a little bit, maybe at this level. Chaz kind of, a little bit of a mixed bag between Indiana and Gardner-Webb. Maybe he's going to kind of smooth it out and it's going to be a little bit more consistent. And, I mean, Zakai was talking about it last week when he talked to us. Like, he's still trying to figure out his teammates, and it's not just a Tennessee thing. This is college basketball.
And like you said, it's not just the transfers. It's guys like Zakai who's played a gajillion minutes here, but now he's playing with, he's not playing with Santiago or Josiah anymore. He's learning too. So, I thought Coach Barnes, was pretty upbeat after the game. I mean, he was, took his guys to task for blowing a 27-point lead there and letting Gardner-Webb kind of cut it down, make it a little bit interesting. But overall, I feel like he was happy. I mean, it felt like he had some guys, with some breakdowns that he's going to beat them up in the film room about. Played a lot better offensively than they did against Indiana, and clearly, has some things to clean up on defense. But I thought it was just kind of a could have predicted if you'd have told me this is exactly, just show me the box score, I'd been like, that sounds about right.
And he's probably happy that they got that kind of test and they got out rebounded by Gardner-Webb.
Surprising.
Which you should not have, and he's going to make them. They're going to hear about that in the coming days before they go to Louisville on Saturday. To get that kind of test, I guess, out of the way night one instead of a 30, 40-point win where you're not learning so much about yourself, what you have to do defensively, how much better you have to be on the glass, stuff like that. Because, I mean, you've got Felix Okpara dealing with a hip pointer, apparently. You've got J.P. Estrella almost didn't play because of an ankle issue. He decided to tough it out. You've got Darlington Dubar, who's away with a personal matter, which, according to Rick, that's not disciplinary at all. It's just something that he's dealing with. And basically, it sounds like he'll be back whenever he feels like he can be back, and he's around the team, so that's something to watch. But, I mean, you want that kind of test because you go to Louisville on Saturday, it gets a lot more real than it was tonight.
Yeah, in November, I think, we talked about it. My biggest takeaway from the Indiana game here, November is going to be more important than ever in this day and age, just for team building.
Right.
It's always important, but you just have so many more new pieces now.
It's going to be kind of figure it out mode through November, maybe even into December. By the time you get to January and an SEC play, you hope you kind of have that identity and you figured yourself out in all these new pieces.
Oh, and one small note, I mean, it may not continue when the competition steps up, but I thought it was a significant. Rick made himself rest Zakai for 8 minutes tonight. 4 minutes, roughly 4 minutes in each half. And then, Jordan, I thought, handled the point well, but I'm going to be interested to see if that continues. I'm going to bet no.
And it's been interesting to see Cade Phillips be the first forward off the bench,
was.
Indiana, and again tonight. So he's apparently made some progress, and they like what they've seen there. Jordan Gainey looks like a different player. He's been the first guard off the bench. If he can keep giving them what he's given them the first couple times out, he's going to be a good basketball player.
Yep, I think we're going to see a lot change. It's going to be a transition period, but it's going to be interesting these 2 months.
Yeah,
Until January gets here.
Figure it out mode.
Yep. You want to coin that one?
Yeah, I guess.
Coin that one. He's Grant Ramey. I'm Rob Lewis from opening night here in the Food City Center.